on. Hi everyone, I am here with a Bible study. I hope you guys are having a good night. Actually, good afternoon. I'm early today. It's only 2:30 p.m. Okay. We are not going to do the Bible study that I told you would be the next one today because since I haven't been able to do the videos for a few days, it took us behind. So I wanted to keep up with the book for our dates. So we're doing today's because it's Friday, April 16th in the book as well. So today we'll be reading John chapter 11. And Jeanette Lavelli will be the devotion writer. And the verses she picked out in John 11 to go with her devotion are John 11:35 and 36. And John 11:35 is the shortest verse in the Bible. Do you know what it is? Let's see. Jesus wept. That's it. John 11:35. Jesus wept. Then the Jews said, "See how he loved him?" So let's mark it here and go, and I will read to you John 11. These things like to leak water sometimes. It's in my nose. Okay. What am I doing? This is the Bible. Oh, see how confused I am? This is the animal devotion. Alright. John 11, we'll be talking about the death of Lazarus. Jesus comforts the sisters, which are Martha and Mary, Lazarus' sisters. Jesus loved Martha, Mary, and Lazarus so much. Jesus raises Lazarus from the dead. The plot to kill Jesus, another one. And that is it for chapter 11. All the good that Jesus does, and they see with their own eyes, some of them, what he does, performing miracles. But the more miracles and the better miracles he performs, the more they want rid of him. Does it make sense? You think they would think, maybe he is the Son of God. But no, they just wanted rid of him, so that people would listen to them again. They'll pay for it, if they're not already. So let's get started. Now a man named Lazarus was sick. He was from Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. This Mary, whose brother Lazarus now lay sick, was the same one who poured perfume on the Lord and wiped his feet with her hair. So the sisters sent word to Jesus, "Lord, the one you love is sick." Now Jesus, just like God, he knows what's in your mind, what you're thinking, in your heart, and he knows things beyond, of course. He knows what's going to happen, period. And he knew what was going to happen with Lazarus. That's why he stayed longer and didn't go to heal him, because he wanted the people to see that he was raised from the dead. But he didn't tell anybody that. When he heard this, Jesus said, "This sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through him." Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. Yet when he heard that Lazarus was sick, he stayed where he was 2 more days. Then he said to his disciples, "Let us go back to Judea." "But Rabbi," they said, "a short while ago the Jews tried to stone you, and yet you are going back there?" Jesus answered, "Are there not 12 hours of daylight? A man who walks by day will not stumble, for he sees by the world's light. It is when he walks by night that he stumbles, for he has no light." After he had said this, he went on to tell them, "Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going there to wake him up." Of course, the disciples take everything literally Jesus says, and Jesus has to explain it to them. You'll see. His disciples replied, "Lord, if he sleeps, he will get better." Jesus had been speaking of his death, but his disciples thought he meant natural sleep. So then he told them plainly, Lazarus is dead. And for your sake I am glad I was not there, so that you may believe. But let us go to him. Then Thomas, called Didymus, remember who he was, right? He was one of the disciples. But when Jesus was raised from the dead and showed himself to some of his disciples that were in a place, they told Didymus about it, and he didn't believe it. He said, I won't believe it unless I see him with my own eyes and put my hand where his wounds are. My hand where his wounds are. So, Jesus appeared later on, a day or two later or so, and Thomas was there. And Jesus said, put your hand here and here, in his hands and his side. He believed them. And that's when Jesus said, blessed are those who believe without seeing. Because that is very strong faith, if you believe without having to see. We believe in Jesus, but we have never seen him, right? Things like that. Thomas, called Didymus, said to the rest of the disciples, let us go, that we may die with him. I'm sorry. On his arrival, Jesus found that Lazarus had already been dead in the tomb for 4 days. So this is going to be decomposing. Bethany was less than 2 miles from Jerusalem, and many Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them in the loss of their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him, but Mary stayed at home. Lord, Martha said to Jesus, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But I know that even now, God will give you whatever you ask. Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. Martha answered, I know he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live even though he dies, and whoever lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this? Now don't think that means that you're going to have immortality if you accept Jesus in your heart, that you're going to live forever on this earth. That's not what he means. He means if you accept him, when you die, your spirit, your soul will go to heaven and live there with them for eternity. But he's raising Lazarus from the dead. Jesus said, do you believe this? Yes, Lord, she told him, I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, who was to come into the world. And after she had said this, she went back and called her sister Mary aside. The teacher is here, she said, and is asking for you. When Mary heard this, she got up quickly and went to him. Now Jesus had not yet entered the village, but was still at the place where Martha had met him. When the Jews who had been with Mary in the house comforting her noticed how quickly she got up and went out, they followed her, supposing she was going to the tomb to mourn there. When Mary reached a place where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet and said, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. Where have you laid him? He asked. Come and see, Lord, they replied. Jesus wept. Then the Jews said, see how he loved him? But some of them said, could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying? And some of those people that are there, some of those Pharisees, some of those people some of the Jews are going to be like, when Lazarus comes out of the grave, when Jesus brings him back to life, out of the grave, they're probably just going to go, stick their nose up in the air and get mad because he did it, like, let's go. Try to get rid of him even more. Sickening. Okay. Jesus, once more deeply moved, came to the tomb. It was a cave with a stone laid across the entrance. "Take away the stone," he said. "But Lord," said Martha, the sister of the dead man, "by this time there is a bad odor, for he has been there 4 days." Then Jesus said, "Did I not tell you that if you believed, you would see the glory of God?" So they took away the stone. Then Jesus looked up and said, "Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I said this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me." When he had said this, Jesus called in a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out." The dead man came out, his hands and feet wrapped with strips of linen and a cloth around his face. Jesus said to them, "Take off the grave clothes and let him go." Therefore, many of the Jews who had come to visit Mary and had seen what Jesus did put their faith in him. But, there's always a but, some of them went to the Pharisees and told them what Jesus had done. Then the chief priests and the Pharisees called a meeting of the Sanhedrin. "What are we accomplishing?" they asked. "Here is this man performing many miraculous signs. If we let him go on like this, everyone will believe in him, and then the Romans will come and take away both our place and our nation." Jesus performing many miraculous signs, and we have to stop him. Okay, well, what if your child or someone you love very, very much was dying? Would you go to Jesus and ask that child to be healed? Or would you just let them die? Because you hate Jesus and want to kill him. You don't believe he's the Son of God. You know they would go to Jesus more than likely. But then they probably still wouldn't believe anyway. And taking away their place and their nation. If it wasn't meant to be, you know Jesus could have stopped that as well. Then one of them, named Cappius, he was the high priest that year, spoke up. "You know nothing at all. You do not realize that it is better for you that one man die for the people than the whole nation to perish." He did not say this on his own, but, and this makes me so angry, hurts my heart, because who would not want what he's about to say? Who would not want this to happen? This is what God wants to happen. And it's happening. It's happening. Thanks to the disciples spreading the word of Jesus, and then our ancestors so and so. Because it was just the Jewish people. But then when Jesus came, he accepted us all. The Gentiles as well. So, and this is happening. They didn't want it to happen. Only evil people would not want this to happen on the devil's side. Listen to this. What he doesn't want to happen. He did not say this on his own, but as a high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus would die for the Jewish nation, and not only for that nation, but also for the scattered children of God, which we are, to bring them together and make them one. So from that day on, they plotted to take his life. Bring all the children of God together, Jew and Gentile, whatever you are, all the children of God, and make them one. Who would not want that to happen? You have to have a cold heart to not want that to happen. They don't know love. They don't know love. So they don't know God. Let me see where I'm at. I lost my place. So from that day on, they plotted to take Jesus' life, to take his life. Therefore, Jesus no longer moved about publicly among the Jews. Instead, he withdrew to a region near the desert, to a village called Ephraim, where he stayed with his disciples. Jesus was alone, he was lonely a lot. You know, his disciples weren't with him all the time. Sometimes they were out doing things, you know, for the people and stuff that, you know, Jesus told them to do and stuff. And if he would have had his own house in town or whatever, there'd be people there all the time. He would get no rest whatsoever, no peace. So he had, because people were doing not what they told him to do, like, don't tell nobody, you know. When Jesus healed some people, he's like, don't say nothing. They told anyway. So more and more people kept coming, and because of stuff like this, them trying to kill him, he had to go and not come into town a lot. So a lot of times he was lonely, you know. He had the same feelings as us. Sadness, loneliness, happiness, anger. The anger he had when they were buying and selling and stuff in the church, in the temple, remember? When it was almost time for the Jewish Passover, many went up from the country to Jerusalem for their ceremonial cleansing before the Passover. They kept looking for Jesus, and as they stood in the temple area, they asked one another, "What do you think? Is he coming to the feast at all?" But the chief priests and the Pharisees had given orders that if anyone found out where Jesus was, he should report it so that they might arrest him. But it was not yet Jesus' time. So that wasn't going to happen in any way, shape, or form. But it's getting closer and closer to that time coming when they do arrest him. And Jesus already knows that's going to happen. And yes, you could tell Jesus was even scared. It's got all the human emotions. Would you not be scared if you knew what was going to happen to you? Look what all Jesus went through. Being spit on, being beat, having big thorns smashed into the top of your head and face, being flogged. A lot of times those whips weren't just like leather whips. Sometimes they had like barbed wire stuff on them too. Yeah. Hanging him on the cross, now on his hands and feet to the cross, having to suffer up there, and then trying to, when he was thirsty, gave him vinegar to drink, put a robe on him and made fun of him, hell, the king of the Jews, and so on and so on. Yeah, anybody would be scared. Nervous, you know, scared. Alright, well anyway. Let's see if I'm going to keep up with this. Alright. Sherman, pick an animal. Sherman picks a pig. Layla, what are you going to pick? Layla. On your Facebook, I think it was your cover photo, that little baby kitten. Is that your cat now that's big? Or was that another kitten? That was so cute. Oh, it's so cute. Made me want one so bad. I don't even know where you can get those bald cats like that. I don't know their name, I'm sorry. I don't know what they're called, I forgot. But I don't know where you can even get those. Okay guys, this one is by Kathleen Ruckman, and it is called Little Shadows. And the Bible verse is Proverbs 12:10. The righteous care for the needs of their animals. That's true. So true. If you know somebody that is cruel to animals, that's a very, very bad sign that they got evil in them, and they'll be cruel to people as well. And I've seen it several times. It's very true. Starting even with some kids. So let's see what Kathleen says. My mother had an affinity for the smallest of dogs. Dogs again! Dogs! I think she preferred a tiny breed that could sit with her on the sofa or held in her arms. Tina, a Chihuahua mixed pup, needed a home, and Mom welcomed her gladly, tipping the scale at around 2 pounds. As an adult dog. Tina reminded me of a tiny black stallion, elegant and slender, with shiny fur. Yeah, black stallion's really big. Oh, sounds so cute. Oh, I want to see her. I've actually never seen a black chihuahua. Well, yeah, our neighbors got one. But it ate 2 pounds. She's an adult, so that dog's fully grown. 2 pounds. Oh my gosh. But her high-pitched bark made her presence known in our home until she died of old age. Yeah, they got allowed to bark. One day, while jumping and playing in our backyard, where my siblings and neighbor kids gathered on summer days, Tina fell from the ledge and broke her skinny leg. Why did she do that for? Or I thought she could make it. That makes me think of our neighbor that lives in our hallway. She's an elderly lady. She had a chihuahua and it died. So she got another one. And when she got that one, I don't know how many days she had it, but one night, it fell off her bed and broke its neck and died. Oh no. I just couldn't imagine. But she's got another one now. And it's the black one I was telling you about. It's black and brown. And every single one of the ones she's had acts the same. They don't like people and they'll bark at you. Sherm can't pet it at all. Starts barking at Sherm when he's like halfway, like a mile away. Sorry. My mother, who didn't drive, ran out to the yard and then managed to find a ride to the veterinarian. I had seen a white plaster cast on a friend at school who had broken her arm. All of us in the classroom signed our names to it, but to see a similar plaster cast on a tiny dog's stick-like leg touched my heart. Yeah, I've seen them put them on. You can get them in all different colors. It represented to me the tender care of a human for a hurting animal. Tina's 3 good legs somehow supported her broken leg, and she trotted across the floor with a resilience that made my heart melt. Oh yeah, dogs do just fine on 3 legs. They can run and everything. I know her legs just hurt right now, but if they had to take a leg off, they do just fine with 3 legs. When someone said her name, she persevered to come for a loving pat. Soon her cast came off, and she was as good as new. Toy breeds are said to be their owner's little shadows. They are. Dottie followed me every single place I went, even the bathroom. She followed me everywhere. If she was tired and laying down, she'd get up when she seen me move and follow me anyway. Would stare at me till I was done, and follow me back. Get back on her blanket, cuddle up and go to sleep again. I realize now how Mom must have loved her buddy at her feet, as busy as she was raising a large family. After Tina died, other dogs joined our family, but for me, the tiniest one holds the most endearing memories in my heart. I think about Dottie every single day of my life. So does Sherm. We'll never, ever forget her, ever. She's our daughter. We love her so much. We'll be in heaven with her one day. I can't wait to see her. Dear God, thank you for the little shadows at our feet, those tiny blessings in fur that follow us around to let us know they need and love us too. Amen. Amen. A dog's love is so unconditional. I've seen it where several times where dogs have been severely abused by their owner, and then, they got rescued and someone took them, someone good took them, and they were scared to death. They didn't want anybody to touch them or anything. They shook really bad and wouldn't move out of the corner, wouldn't eat, wouldn't let nobody pet them. But then, they kept slowly, just trying with them every day, Let them take care of, let them come when they want to. Don't pressure them. And eventually they started doing it. And eventually they got better and better, and then they were really, really happy with their new owners. It's like people are so cruel, but they forgive and love still anyway. They'll still trust a human after being almost dead. It's amazing. There's nothing like a dog's love. There's really not. It's very special. They love you no matter what you do. I've seen dogs where an owner will beat it, kick it, hit it or anything, and then the dog will come right back to the owner. Stays loyal to him. And mourn when they're taken away. It's really sad. It's really sad that I seen, when I was watching a show the other night, these true stories, it was so sad. This couple was going to move. They used the excuse, they said they were moving, and said they were moving to an apartment, couldn't take their dog. They had the dog for years, and now the dog was elderly. Come to find out, when they talked to them again, they just turned the dog in because they didn't want him anymore because it was elderly. And they didn't want to fool with him. And they said at the pound, that's where they took him to the pound, they said there, people do that all the time, bringing in their elderly pets. They want them when they're young and playful, but when they get old, they don't want to fool with them or take care of them, so they get rid of them. And that dog just laid there and cried. Tears were coming out of his eyes. He was crying tears. It showed a picture of him, a video. He was laying there crying for them. Could you imagine being with somebody your whole life? Your whole life. You loving them unconditionally. And then them just dropping you off in a pound. A strange place you don't know. And people you don't know. And never coming back. He kept waiting and waiting on them to come back, thinking they were coming back. But they never did. They didn't say nothing else. I just prayed that dog got a good home and he's happy now. Forgot about those people, hopefully. Anyway, that was our Bible study for tonight, guys. Sorry I rattled on. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Let's bring those souls to Jesus, and God willing, we'll see you guys again tomorrow with another Bible study. Good night, guys. Enjoy your weekend. God bless.